Common ground can be found so that together we can forge a new way forward. The Sharpe Way is the way to mutual respect, where no one has to convert to be heard, because you can be as liberal or as conservative as you want, as long as you aren't forcing your beliefs on others. Welcome to Sharpe Way Radio.
Oh, yes, it is Larry Sharpe here on Sharpe Way Radio out of WYSL Rochester, New York. So happy to be here. Number to call, 585-346-3000. Can't wait to chat with you about an issue that yet again has somehow started in New York City. What is wrong with this city? Again. And I know people go, Larry, I don't live in the city. What do I care about this? Well, yet another one that you probably need to care about. When I heard these stories, I immediately thought about my own world. And some of you may know, well, you might know if you've been watching or listening to me, that in my previous lives, I used to be in sales, a lot of time in sales, even door-to-door, corporate sales, enterprise sales, all types of sales. It's one of the ways I was able to hone my skills at training by being able to speak to people. So I remember one job I worked at, I was a sales rep. The sales manager was adamant. He was like, you will be at my meeting in the morning. I think it was like Tuesday morning or whatever the morning was. I don't care what happens. You will be there to make sure this happens. Well, some sales reps thought it wasn't that important. They didn't show up. So what did he do? He yelled at us. I want to be clear. He yelled at us. So he yelled at the people who made the meeting about the people who didn't make the meeting. One more time. The people who did the right thing, in his eyes at least, he yelled at. The people who didn't, he didn't. Making the people who didn't show up think, why would I show up? So I can get yelled at? And making the people who did show up going, why did I show up? So I can get yelled at? So he wind up yelling at people that he didn't need to yell at. He punished the person who was easiest to punish. Insanely crazy. You know, there was another option though. There's another job I was at where my sales manager, sales VP in this case, would say, you need to be in my meeting. And I think this was a monthly one, if I remember that right. Might have been weekly. I think it was monthly. And he says, unless you're making six figures, if you're bringing in six figures, you don't have to show up. And I thought, wow, that's way different from the other guy. The other guy was like, everybody's got to show up. And if you don't show up, I'll be mad at the people who do show up. And this guy's like, if you're making the money and doing the right thing, don't show up. You're obviously doing the right thing. Go enjoy yourself. But if you're not doing the right thing, you're not making six figures, get your butt in my meeting. That actually was fair. Sadly, I often made the meetings. I wasn't able to make the cash that I wanted to get. I was also newer, so I guess that's my excuse. But whichever case. So I showed up. So why does that story matter to you? Because right now what we're doing, our goal here, what we're doing now in New York City, is we have problems with our MTA. Only what I've been talking about for the past 5 years. So what's the MTA going to do? They're going to raise prices on the MTA. So now your subway ride is going up. And when people say, wait a minute, you aren't making enough money? They went, yeah. See, we're losing $500 million. I'm not making this up. This is their numbers. We're losing $500 million to fare evasion, to fare jumpers. So people who don't pay to ride the subway. So what's their answer? Charge more for those who do pay to ride the subway. So if you're doing the right thing by paying to ride the subway, well, take that. And if you avoid the subway, okay, I'm going to punish the people who actually pay for riding the subway. They're literally going to encourage more people to evade paying. They changed the entire bus system here in New York City. And people sometimes say, well, wait, Larry, that was a good thing. They're saving this and saving that. Just to change the subject, to change the system. No, now people don't pay to ride the bus anymore. They just get on. You're supposed to pay for your bus ride. I'm not joking. This is a European model, by the way. For those of you who've been to Europe, that is the European model. You pay and get your ticket before you get on the subway or the bus. And then once in a while, the ticket inspector will come by and see that you have a ticket and punish you if you don't. Yeah. Dumbest system on the planet. Just let people ride for free, or put the coin or whatever, or put your thing in. I don't care. Or let them ride for free. This is the worst of both worlds. So all that happens is people don't pay. And we punish those people who do pay. This is exactly the wrong answer. This is my sales guy who's yelling and screaming for people who showed up. What are you teaching our state? What are you teaching our city? Nothing but bad. It's not only unfair, the opposite will happen. But I'm not done. I say, okay, Larry, that's, so what? That's just people who ride the subway. Why do I care? Well, it's a self-inflicted wound, number one. Over 1 million people are not riding the subway every day that used to ride. We used to have about 5 million a day ride the subway. Now we have less than 4 million. And that's all because of lockdowns. That affects you, upstate New York, too. Why? Because when the MTA has a deficit, guess who writes them a check? The state. So for those of you who are upstate, thank you for paying for my subway rides. I appreciate it, I guess. At least I will say thank you. See, the other New Yorkers won't, but this New York City resident will tell you, thank you for paying for my subway. See, you get something from me at least. But it gets worse. Now, New York City wants to monitor your meat intake. I'm not joking. Monitor your meat intake. You might not know this, but New York City actually has an Office of Food Policy. I know some of you probably just spit up your food. Yes, an Office of Food Policy. And, because that's not enough. I mean, come on, is it? No, of course not. We also have the Office of Climate and Environmental Justice. Not like an Office of Climate and Environment. No. This is an Office of Climate and Environmental Justice. And this is just New York City. I didn't even count the state. This is New York City. Yes, my tax dollars at work. What else would I want in this city? So if you're paying any attention, there are tons of problems across New York State. Tons of problems across New York State, New York City, all over. So what should we focus on? And what's critical? How much meat are you eating? And we say, wait a minute, like, does that match the first one? It does. Because even the idea, if you want to lower carbon emissions, and I understand lots of people do, okay, that is your concern. Great. Shouldn't you worry about the military-industrial complex that is literally the world's largest polluter, bar none, not even close? No. Let's keep bombing people. Let's keep giving money to Ukraine for this, so they can bomb people and get bombed. Let's keep doing that. But you know what we should do? Stop your meat consumption. How about here in Times Square? Have you seen how much electricity is being burned? All the advertisements here, big business. Could we stop them? No. Your meat consumption. That's the problem. See, you're the problem. You people who want to eat steak and hamburgers. Who cares about people being bombed all across the world? Nothing. Your burger's far more important. So now they're already monitoring. They're monitoring hospitals, schools, and restaurants. So they can put, I'm not joking, a cap on meat consumption. Yes, a cap on it. You only get a certain amount of meat. This is literally 1984. Like literally, 1984. The government limits how much meat you can have. Look, if you don't want to eat meat and you're a vegan or whatever, or vegetarian or whatever is the thing that makes you happy, I'm not mad at you. Please go ahead and eat all the veggies or eat the meat or don't eat any meat. All good. But why is your hand in my refrigerator? Put your hand in your own refrigerator and we're good. It's that simple. But what they're going to do is exactly the opposite. We're punishing people who aren't the problem. Again, the average New Yorker isn't a massive polluter. By the way, in case you don't know, again, this is data. New York State per capita has the lowest carbon footprint in the country. I'm not joking. Lowest in the country. So even if you do care about this tremendously, and good if you do, again, I'm not mad at you if you do. We're already winning. You can stop punching now. You're already winning. You've won the fight. Stop. We're the lowest in the country already. Let someone else do the carbon thing. Why are we doing it? But it's going to get worse. You know who they're going to be able to monitor directly? People who are on public assistance. EBT, WIC, all of those people. They might go, lie, why do I care? Because people who are there are usually the most marginalized of our community, those who are struggling on fixed incomes. So who are we punishing now? The people who are on fixed incomes? That's who we're going to punish? The people who are struggling financially? Those are the people we punish? I thought we were about punishing the big corporations and stuff. Remember that? Isn't that what Her Majesty Kathy, Queen Kathy, first of her name, isn't that what she told us? Isn't that what she campaigned on? Yeah, I don't think that was true. Yet again, punishing the people who don't deserve to be punished, letting the wealthy walk away, and doing it because they care. Sadly, our taxpayer dollars walking down the same road. Am I wrong? Tell me. 585-346-3000. Larry Sharpe on Sharpe Way Radio, WYSL Rochester, New York. Back with your calls and the internet chat after the break.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Inside the Taylor Laboratories.
Hey, Tony, what you doing?
A little experiment, Zach. Look what I have under the microscope.
Ugh, what's that?
A sample of indoor air.
How can it be that dirty? Don't AC and furnace filters help?
Only with dust, Zach. But when Taylor installs a whole house APCO air purifier to detox the air, odors, chemicals, mold, bacteria, and viruses are removed.
For clean indoor air.
Yep. Ain't science awesome?
Taylor, 500 help.
With incompetent, devious Washington and Albany leadership and a corrupt corporate media that uses news and social to control and mislead, it's important to
Hey, Larry.
freedom of speech and to promote the
By the way, got breaking news today. Ford has reversed course, and they're going to keep AM radio in cars.
So allocate your ad dollars here. Take advantage
You're
of
welcome.
a huge audience entertained and informed by leading conservative thought. Affordable and effective. The WYSL station's the voice of liberty. Call 346-3000 to advertise.
Sharpe Way Radio on the WYSL stations.
Yes, Larry Sharpe here on WYSL, Rochester, New York, 585-346-3000. Before the break, I was talking about how we're trying to do the right thing, I guess, in theory, but all we wind up doing is punishing people who shouldn't be punished and letting the people go who are doing the most damage. And this drives me crazy. A little bit off topic. My engineer and also Dave Davis are asking questions about Ford removing AM radio. Let me, again, off topic, but people are asking, so let me just deal with it. For some of you who may not know, there was a move for car companies to stop putting in AM radio in their cars. Just get rid of it, saying that people aren't using it. What many people don't know is I think it's 40 to 50% in that area. I could be off, but I think it's around that of AM listeners are people driving in their cars. It's a very big deal for AM radio. And it also allows, this is going to sound self-serving, but I don't care. It allows for a bit of independent media to be heard in mainstream media, right? Generally speaking, when you look at mainstream media on TV, not many independents there. You can find some online, absolutely, right? Online you can, but in mainstream TV and radio, AM is pretty much the only place to be. So I'm very happy that Ford, as one company, has decided to put AM back into the cars as a standard. So yes, thank you for that, Dave. And my engineer also, Rob, brought that up. So that's awesome. Michael Voss brings up, interesting, AM radio is where most talk shows are, the most popular being the conservative talk. That's true. Seems the left lost their bid to censor information. Ooh, look at you being conspiratorial, Michael. Okay. And look, I'm not sure you're wrong on that. To be forward, I haven't done my homework on the background of that situation. I simply knew what was happening, but I'm sure if someone did the background, if someone did the homework, Michael Voss, it was you. So you're probably correct. I'm just saying I didn't do my homework on that one. So thank you for that in any case. So let me go back if I could. Let me go back to the New York City piece if I could. Again, why should you care? Number one, because once we start monitoring meat in public situations like high schools, colleges, restaurants, hospitals, that will shift. It will shift into, as I said, EBT, WIC, all those. But does it then shift into Social Security? Does it shift into disability? Then does it shift into something more important? Does it shift into farming? Do we crush our dairy farmers now because of this? Because obviously the small dairy farmer, climate change is their fault, right? But here's the issue. We're punishing people who we can punish. Can an average restaurant owner fight the city? No. Can hospitals? No, they're funded by the state. They can't fight. Can schools? No, funded by the state. They can't fight. Can someone who's on a fixed income? No, they're on a fixed income. How in the world are they going to get lawyers and take time off to do a lawsuit? No. Can the average dairy farmer in upstate New York fight? No. This is the worst part. And here's the other part. People are going to say it's because they care. It's because they care. Now let's add something, which some of you might have thought of, some of you might not. Let's add this no meat or meat cap. I shouldn't say that. It's not no meat yet. You will eat the bugs. Anyway, it's not meat. It's not no meat yet. It's a meat cap. And they will decide how much meat you should eat. Because you know who I really trust? Government. They'll tell me how much meat I should eat, and they'll do it right. So they're going to cap. But now add with that the banning of gas stoves. Remember they said nobody's coming for your gas stoves? Yeah, they kind of are. No one's coming for your meat? They kind of are. So now no gas stoves and a cap on meat. What's going to happen to the New York City restaurant industry? What's going to happen to farm to table, which you find more commonly in upstate New York? Going to crush those industries. So I can't use a gas stove to cook. That's going to change how my food tastes. And now I can't use the meat that I want. So why would I rush for a night out in New York City? Yeah, you wouldn't. That's the problem. I would like more people to come to our state, more people to come to our cities, more people from out of state to come here and spend their money here. That would be nice. This used to be one of the number one things that happened in New York State. Come over here, ski, hunt, farm, go to Broadway, go see a show. Check out our history. Go check out the Statue of Liberty. Have some awesome restaurant food. That's what it used to be. Is that going away? Is it on purpose? Is Michael Fox right? Is this some kind of conspiracy? I'm not saying he's wrong. But if you had to add this stuff up, it actually looks like it is. It looks like they're moving to first crush the city and then let that destroy the rest of the state. Are they just grifting until there's no grift left?
Voss on the line.
Literally just taking everything away before it all goes away? Are they looting before the store goes out of business? Maybe they are. Let me grab Michael Voss if I could. He has been kind enough to call in. I will grab him for a quick phone call. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Larry. How are you doing? You're looking good.
I'm doing good. So tell me, did you do the homework? Did you go down the rabbit hole?
I've done it a couple of times. We checked
Had a feeling.
back and forth. But I wanted to focus on what you're talking about, meat. And I left a comment, but I want to expand on it. This is a violation of the Fourth Amendment in a way that the Founding Fathers never expected. For people out there who are listening to this, they really got to think about this. If the government can tell you what you can eat, what can't they tell you to do? It's one of the most intimate things we do every day. And they're taking away an absolute freedom you don't even think about. What other freedom can't they take away?
Well, you know, I'm going to walk down that road with you, Michael, for one of the reasons why, there were many reasons why I was against the jab mandates. But the biggest reason why I was against those mandates is it's the government telling you what to put in your body. That's my biggest reason of all of them. And this goes right to your point. They've already done it with the other mandates. So now this opened the door for this one. And I fear that judges in our state will say, well, there's a precedent, so it's okay. What do you think?
Well, we started this. It is a precedent. The precedent started with Obamacare, when the government said they can choose our health care, which said, the government has a right to interfere with our individual choices. And now then we saw Bloomberg with no salt on the table because you're an adult. You don't get to choose. No smoking in anywhere. These are all invasions of our privacy and choices. The happiness clause, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. This invalidates all that. It says you don't have that right. It terrifies me. And
I'm not sure they're saying that. They're saying you have the right, but they just define what it is. I think that's what they're saying, which is a nuance and a terrible one, but it is. Michael, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. Guys, tell me if I'm right. Tell me if Mike was right. 585-346-3000. Larry Sharpe, Sharpe Way Radio, WYSL, Rochester, New York. Back with your calls and your chat after the break.
for truth and freedom.
WYSL.
AM 1040 Avon Rochester, FM 92.1 Rochester, and FM 95.5 Spencerport.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center. Tonight, we'll see partly cloudy skies, much milder out there. We'll stay in the 50s and low 60s. On Wednesday, a changeable day. It'll be a mild morning near 70. Front will arrive midday, some showers in the afternoon, dramatically cooler, dropping into the low 50s during the afternoon. A cold Wednesday night could be in the 30s Thursday morning. Sunshine back near 60 in the afternoon. I'm Rich Cadelia, WYSL.
See the new models, new technology, and a new way of buying at Ralph Honda. The 2023 Hondas are fuel-efficient, spacious, and sporty with something for every Honda lover. Customize yours at ralphhonda.com or in our showroom. Find your next Honda at Ralph Honda.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Hi, my name is Ryan Bourne.
And I'm Danica Bourne.
And we're the owners of South Coast Tax.
We started our company 10 years ago in an effort to help our fellow Christians experiencing tax issues resolve their matters by taking a simple 3-step approach.
South Coast Tax are Christian-based tax accountants and attorneys that specialize in releasing bank levies, wage garnishments, and filing complex tax returns. We are the leaders in acceptance of offers and compromise with awesome results. We're also a small firm who will treat you like family, not just a number.
Call us today at 1-800-TAX-1176 for a free consultation, and we'll take the time to explain all of the programs that you qualify for in order to allow you a fresh start.
Proverbs 15:22 says, plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed. Call us today at 1-800-TAX-1176, and together we can help achieve this goal by putting the IRS debt behind you for good. Again, that number is 1-800-TAX-1176.
WYSL.
Looking for rewarding work with a growing local company? Apply at CREC Disposal. Want great working conditions, top pay, and benefits? Apply at CREC Disposal. CREC Disposal has openings for fleet mechanics and drivers at Rochester's fastest growing disposal service. CREC Disposal is family owned and takes pride in their staff of professionals. You could be one of them. Join a quality team. Mechanics and drivers, call or send your resume. Grow with CREC. Call 585-720-0978. 585-720-0978. SEYREK disposal.com.
Fanatics Pub presents the 3rd annual A Weekend of Blues, Saturday and Sunday, July 8th and 9th at the Hemlock Fairgrounds. Artists include Early Times, Gabe Stillman, John Nemeth, and the Blue Dreamers, Yates, McKendry, Bywater Call, Sugar Ray, and the Blue Tones. Gates open 2 hours before the first show. Free parking.
We have Keith on the line.
Available. Buy tickets online.
You're welcome.
Visit fanaticsPub.com. Weekend of Blues, July 8th and 9th, presented by Fanatics Pub.
Geneseo Hardware and Rental has all your project needs from inside to outside, underground, or in the air. A large selection of hardware, plumbing, electrical, home goods, lawn, garden, Valspar paint, and cabinet stains. A wide range of rental items, including boom lifts, trenchers, stump grinders, and post hole diggers. Geneseo Hardware offers screen and window repair. Get personalized service. Open 7 days a week. Geneseo Hardware and Rental, Route 20A next to Wegmans Plaza.
Because of Open Door Mission and the restored hope I have a full-time job now, and my kids are in school and they're safe and we're all together. I just see victory.
Go to opendoormission.com.
At Ralph Honda, we know car buying has changed, and so have we. Visit ralphhonda.com to value your trade, get instant credit approval, schedule service, even build and customize your next car. It's a whole new way of doing business, online and at Westridge Road. Ralph Honda.
Sharpe Way Radio on the WYSL stations.
It is Larry Sharpe here on Sharpe Way Radio, WYSL, Rochester, New York, 585-346-3000. For the break, I was talking about the idea of the government punishing those that it can easily punish. And then Michael Voss stepped in talking about the government now having a right to deal with the most intimate parts of our life. Crazy, crazy stuff. I'm going to grab a call if I could. I'm going to grab Keith from Rochester. Keith, how are you, sir?
I called in with a common denominator to your monologue. So my two questions are, what is the last ultimate authority that would prevent the erosion of our rights? And secondly, for me at age 67 and a half, why have the American people become so complacent? Exactly that they're allowing, just standing there like sheep and cowardly so-and-sos, allowing whomever to take away their rights. I mean it at my age, because I think I have the panorama and perspective, 67 and a half, everyone. Ha ha, a half key. Where are all you Americans that are allowing this to happen? I have a broad breadth enough of life to say, grabbing my forehead, I never thought this would happen in the United States of America, that Americans supposedly of a stronger stuff and fiber would stand there passively and allow these government abusive platforms, because that's what you have in common in your monologue, whether it's someone jumping the turnstile or someone saying you're not going to have this meat, or but even you are getting two legalese going patting in a condescending way those people on social services. Oh, you can't do anything for yourselves because you don't, by example, have legal advice. That's the problem. Everyone is on the government teat, and everyone is selfish and afraid that if I speak up or this and that, I'm going to lose my benefits. What a lousy country that has got everyone hooked on the government teat. When the women and children barefooted crossed the great American plain, there was no guarantee. They often did it without soap. Body odor was common in early pioneers. They could be scalped. There were no guarantees when they crossed the prairie like that. Now today, no one wants to take a risk. Everyone wants the guarantee in place before they start something. And it's just a horrible country now that's allowed itself to smell.
Come on, Keith, hold on. You just sitting there hammering everything. You do what you always do. You give me so much. All right, let me try to grab a couple of these if I can get them. Try to get them all if I can. The one I remember first was so many people on the government team. I cannot agree with you more. You are exactly on the nose, but it isn't just getting a check directly from the government. That's one thing, but there's something else. Particularly in states like New York, Illinois, and California, the government is the biggest employer. So not just a check coming from the state, but also your check from your job. So either it's you're literally working for the state in some way, right? You're a teacher, you're a custodian, you're working for the police force, the SUNY system, insert thing here, prison, right? So government's giving you a check in that regard. That's at least you're working for that though. So there's work for that. That's good. But not just that, if you're a private company, you probably have a government contract. So even though you're a private company, the money that's funding your company is very often government money. Well, Larry, I work for a nonprofit. Yeah, but a lot of those nonprofits, they're getting grants from the government. So I'm going deeper down the road than you are, Keith. I'm saying it's worse than what you just said, is that there's in those three states, and there are others too, the only economic growth is from government infusion of cash, not private sector infusion of cash. That's even worse. So I'm going to double down on you. And usually I'm the one trying to pull you off the ledge. This time I'm pushing you off. I think you're 100% correct. And because of that, it is very hard. And not that you're wrong in what you're saying. I'm just saying it's difficult for someone to bite the hand that feeds not only them, but their friends, their family, their cousins. It's difficult. Did that make sense, Keith?
Well, I want to say in closing, when the likes of Schumer and Hochul come in like would-be white knights bringing money into a given community, that's taxpayer money. It's not their money. Without taxpayers, they would have nothing. And so when they give the grants, it's corporate welfare. It's taxpayer money. We don't have a say in it. It's just the way now, in closing, that the country's gotten. It's like we're one big entity that we're no longer Americans. Americans used to be freedom-loving, risk-taking people, and now everyone wants a guarantee before they move an inch, and that's not how we got to be great and strong. And if we don't change our ways, you watch, this 21st century will be the century of China. They're taking risks. They're training their young people. Our young people are stupid.
Well, hold on. Let me walk down that run too. I actually think two parts of that. Number one, I don't think it's going to be a century of China. I think worse. I think it'll be a dark ages. I think it'll be similar to Europe after the Roman Empire fell. I don't think China can take over. I think their system is a broken system too. I think there'll just be a dark ages across the entire world instead of just over Europe after the Romans fell. So again, I'm going further than you, Keith. See, I got you today. Today I got you. I'm pushing further than you are. I think it's a dark ages, even worse. But to your other point, why do people not step up? And I think it becomes, and I'll give you an example for myself. This is a personal example. When I came back from the Marine Corps and I came back to the city, and when bad things would happen on the subway, which I used to ride, I was the guy who would step up. I was the guy who would say, hey, sit down, stop, what's wrong with you? I would step up. I was that guy. And the people in the train would be mad at me. They would attack me, tell me, how dare you, be quiet, sit down, he has a right, he's in trouble. The system around me told me I was wrong. They didn't want my help. They wanted government help. They didn't want my help. And I started to back off. So I became one of those people, Keith, the person you're talking about. I went from being, hey, guy, back off, to, all right, whatever. Okay, fine. Just don't hit me. And that was it. And I think it's been a social issue that has affected all of us. We've been looking to government to solve our problems. And I think many people now, it's become cultural. So I think it is deep. I think you're right.
Well, the radio host who comes after you says things have not gotten bad enough for most Americans to wake up. Things are going to have to get a lot worse before Americans truly get involved. That's what Dan Bongino says, and I freely quote him. That is a wise quote from Mr. Bongino. Things have to get a lot worse, apparently.
I disagree. Okay, you had me on everything. That's the one thing I disagree on. I do not think it has to get worse. I think we have to have hope. We have to believe that somebody or something, and this goes to the last piece you said, actually the first piece you said, which is what is the authority that will get people to go forward? And I think it has to be a series of executives, a series of governors, or a series of presidents. Why executives? Because the American population listens to executives. Usually when it comes to congressmen or senators, we kind of ignore them, push them to the side. But we pay attention to governors, we pay attention to presidents and mayors. We have to have a series of executives who say exactly what you're talking about, Keith, who encourage young men particularly, but others also, but particularly young men, to get up and do the right thing. And when they do, praise them and support them. When that happens, we will do better. Until that, there is no authority. So that part I'm a little bit off on.
Well, in closing, we got to find that leadership in all parties.
Yes.
Maybe you want to think for yourself, libertarian, beating your chest, oh, I'm here to pick up the pieces. But in closing, across the board, that stupendous, stellar leadership is sadly missing on all fronts.
Yes, you're right. You're right. Keith, thanks for the call. I appreciate it.
Bye.
Yeah, I mean, look, a lot of stuff Keith's saying was true. And usually, if you listen to the show often, usually Keith and I go back and forth. Usually I'm pulling him back. I'm like, no, Keith, you went too far this time. This time I'm like, no, Keith, you didn't go far enough. And you got a good show today. I actually pushed Path Keith this time. So yes. But the point I want to bring up is one of the reasons why I keep doing this. One of the reasons why I keep running for office as I have in the past. I'm not now, but how I have in the past is because I want to create that hope, right? Do I think Keith was teasing me saying I pound myself in the chest saying I'm libertarian? He's right. I do. 100%. Because I want people to see an example of someone doing that. Do I believe that I'm going to save the world? I don't. I hope I do, but I don't believe it. Do I believe I can be the guy or part of the people who set it up to be saved? I do. And if that's hubris, so what? If that's optimism or naivete, so what? I believe it. I think we can set the groundwork for this state and for this country to be fixed. I do believe that. And it's us not stopping. It's us not quitting because they want us to quit. They want us to stop. I don't want to. Am I crazy? Naive? Maybe. Tell me. 585-346-3000. Larry Sharpe on Sharpe Way Radio, WYSL, Rochester, New York. Back with more calls, and I promise I'll get to the chat too, all after the break.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Don't hate your home. Pick up the phone and call Wise Home Energy. The Energy Star Contractor of the Year, Wise Home Energy would like to thank our clients and employees for this prestigious award. For the 6th year in a row, thank you for choosing Wise Home Energy for solving your ice issues, improving hot and cold rooms, and reducing high energy bills. So don't hate your home. Pick up the phone and call Wise Home Energy at 585-270-5836 today.
With incompetent, devious Washington and Albany leadership and a corrupt corporate media that uses news and social to control and mislead, it's important to preserve freedom of speech and to promote a truth-based society for our families. Try something different in 2023. The WYSL stations can grow your business, professional practice, or organization, so allocate your ad dollars here. Take advantage of a huge audience entertained and informed by leading conservative thought. Affordable and effective. The WYSL stations, the voice of liberty. Call 346-3000 to advertise.
Sharpe Way Radio on the WYSL stations.
Oh, yes, it is Larry Sharpe here yet again. WYSL Rochester, New York. Sharpe Way Radio. So happy to have you for just a small chunk of your afternoon.
Joe from Brockport.
Before the break, we were talking about New York trying to respond. New Yorkers responding to all of the problems that we've had here. And it is challenging when people feel broken, when people have tried and failed, when people are just trying to survive every day. And now all of a sudden, I got to now jump up and do these things when I can't even pay my bills. I can't go on vacation. It's tough. It absolutely is. And I get why we're having some of the problems that we're having. So let me grab a call if I could. I'm going to grab Joe. Joe, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
What's going on?
Well, I've been listening to your program, and I always do as much as I can.
Thank you.
Dark to light and all that. But I have to, as much as I agree with pretty much everything you've stated today, I have to say that when I hear you say that, you know, we can do this and we can do that, and we're going to bring this thing back from the you know, edge and all this. Without God, we're not going to do anything. And I sometimes hear a lack of speaking. I know it's not a religious program, and I've been involved in politics long enough to know that, you know, everything's not about God, and everything, you know, within politics, you can't be always saying that. But really, our only hope is going to be Jesus Christ, because this thing to me is, and I'm 78, and this is going to be
So you got Keith
this
beat.
is the most difficult time I've ever seen and experienced. I never thought it would come to this, though I've been seeing the signs of for decades of the deterioration of our society. But
so
yeah, without the
Joe,
Lord,
let me touch this if I could. For those who may have listened to me speak in the past, I don't shy away from religion at all. I've never shied away from it ever. The issue I bring up is I don't want government involved in religion. So therefore, what I always do is I talk about policies that will support local community religious centers, which to your point, I think are critical in supporting local communities. So if you may remember, if you listen to the show often, I spoke about the idea of not only having child care centers, but also having child gardens, which would be an agreement that people could make locally with a nonprofit, to including a local church, right? So that now working parents can give their kids back over to the church. In many cases, not all, but in many cases, churches stopped doing childcare because they were regulated out of existence. So now this breaks the regulatory bodies. You now can actually do that if you want to in your local church. And on a personal note, that actually would help in many smaller communities where the Black church has been falling apart as a center of community. So this allows government to allow that to happen without directly supporting religion, but it allows the community to step up. Not only that, I've spoken more than once about the idea that if you're going to send your taxpayer dollars into New York State, Albany anyway, why can't you take $250 of that, which would be going to Albany anyway, and give it to a nonprofit in New York State, which would include a church, and $500 doubled if it's in your county, which would encourage people to support their local churches. So I'm not saying you're wrong at all. I'm saying I don't want government to be deciding that. I want government to create an environment that will support it. Does that make sense?
well, somewhat, but I'm not really even talking about religion. I'm talking about actually involving individually as much. To me, the church is part of the main problem we're in the state we're in right now. The church has not been the church. We backed away from helping the poor and all that when we got our tax exempt status in the churches, and they were registered. They never should have been registered. And the church should be the welfare for their communities. But they backed away. Right. The government took over, and then you see this, and then it progressed, and you see the state we're in today. I don't want religion to come into politics per se, but I think that anyone who's seeing what's going on today knows that human beings, we're not going to be able to fix this. This is really broken. And I know you're very positive, and I tend to be a little bit, you know, my glass is half empty, you know what I mean? But I think that we need to get back to prayer and, you know, supplication of the Creator to help us, because we've erred way off the track, especially with abortion.
What I will tell you, Joe, to be clear, is I don't have a problem with anything you're saying. All I'm saying is I don't want government to be saying that directly. I want people to be able to get together. The value here, here's the thing we're talking about. This goes back to what Keith was talking about. If I'm someone who wants to pray or wants to worship, if I don't have a community to do so, the odds of me doing it go down. Community is what helps people to move forward when they're down, to include religious institutions, prayer, all those, and community too. Even if you don't want to be religious, I'm not against someone. If you don't want to be religious, fine too. Like, I'm open to you being you, but in either case. So government should be supporting that, so that people who want to go and get support, people who want to go and get help, they can. Back in the day, and for some people, going back to a church used to be a way that people could find themselves. It was a socially acceptable way for someone to come back and say, I've been making some terrible decisions in my life, and I got to fix myself. And I'm going to go back to a church because that's the community way that's acceptable for me to repent. I think we've lost that too. Again, whether you want to be religious or not isn't my issue, but it becomes a place for us to go. And I'm going to be very forward, Joe. If you just want people to just be better, the odds of them doing that go down unless they have community. And if the community is walking away, as Keith has said, and I think he's right, communities walk away and wait for government, they're never going to be better. It's not going to happen.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I agree with you. I don't want government telling, people that we have to be religious, we have to do this or that either. That wasn't the way the founders founded our country. So, all right, you got to get off. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you for the call. I appreciate it. And please keep listening.
Yes, I will. Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you. So I think this is an important piece, right? I know some people listening may be like, Larry, I don't want to go to church. Okay. But community does matter. Having a community of people who will support you is going to help when you fall down. We all fall down. We all have problems, whether it's our fault or luck or some combination. And what I will always say, when someone's in trouble, whatever that trouble is, financial, spiritual, legal, family, whatever is the problem, medical, whatever is the problem, the first thing they need is not a government program. They might need one, but not the first thing. The first thing they need is somebody who cares. That's the first thing. Once you find somebody who cares, now you can move to that level. Are you at a spiritual impasse, a medical impasse, a combination, financial, family? What is your issue? Let's work down the road. Do you have an addiction problem, a mental problem? What do you got? Let's work on that. Once someone cares, you now move to the next level. And to have yourself get better from whatever problem you have. Having community support is going to increase the odds of your success no matter what. Michelle says, prayers or not, we need to get back to family. Can I get an amen? Absolutely. Family and community are critical. Guys, I want to say thank you so much for giving me a chunk of your afternoon. I will be back on tomorrow evening and then back here again at 1 p.m. as always on Sharpe Way Radio, WYSL Rochester, New York. Thank you so much for giving me a chunk of your afternoon. I will see you very soon. I will rise. I will fly.